excited for today's session. We are here with our guest speaker, Ben Cogswell, and we will be talking all about Edu Protocols. We'll be talking about Edu Protocols for primary and beyond. And let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to quickly introduce the Teacher Innovation Network team. This is the team that hosts and put together the EdTech Playgrounds for you all. We are so lucky to be able to be sharing this time with you. My name is Stephanie Sumarna, and I work at the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. And on our planning team, we also have Sarah Kolbeck from Shasta County Office of Education. Yay, Sarah. She is manning our chat today. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and Sarah will help you. We also have Krista Norum. She is from Santa Clara County Office of Education, and unfortunately, she is not able to be here with us this afternoon, but she's with us in spirit, and she's looking forward to watching that recording. From Santa Clara, we also have Anu Gupta. Welcome, Anu. Anu is going to be helping us also with the chat, letting you in from the waiting room, and then Anu will be closing us out this evening. And we have Tani, and Tani was in the breakout room helping get our playground pros signed in. So we are going to go ahead and get started with today's agenda. We are so lucky that we have a guest speaker, and we know that we are all here, let's face it, for the guest speaker. So we are going to turn it over to Ben in just a moment, who's going to be talking to us today about Edu Protocols. And then after Ben is finished, we'll have a chance for you to ask questions if you have any questions that you want to ask Ben, and then we will close it out with a closing from our planning team. Of course, as we go through the session, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them as we go along. If they don't get answered, I usually keep a little sticky note next to me and save them as we go along so that I can make sure that I ask the presenter when they finish so that we get our questions answered. And I'm going to introduce Ben. I am so excited to present Ben to you all. I know Ben because him and I both served on the board for Monterey Bay Q. And he has been teaching in Salinas, California since 2007. He currently serves as the captain of Kind Rockets, a fourth grade classroom. In addition to fourth grade, Ben has experience as a kindergarten teacher, a sixth grade teacher, and technology coach. He is the recipient of several awards, including Teacher of the Year 2020 from his school district, Q's Blended and Online Educator of the Year, the Q Gold Disc Award, and coveted in our area, the KSBW Crystal Apple Award. So we are so lucky to have Ben here with us tonight. I'm going to stop my screen sharing and I'm going to pass it over to Ben.
All right. Well, first of all, before I share my screen, I just wanted to take a second and look at all the wonderful faces and the names. Some of it's familiar. Thank you for being here on this Tuesday. And I don't know about you. I had to rush home because I got the after school program in my classroom. And so, it's always like a little bit like, you don't want kids stomping in as you're doing that. So if you could do me a favor and go ahead and share your name and your location, your grade level, and your favorite emoji. So I'm Ben, and I am here in sunny Salinas, excuse me, California, fourth grade teacher, and you'll probably never get excuse me, let me grab some. Oops, water's not over there. My favorite emoji, if you could tell from my introduction, and my emoji on the slides. And speaking of slides, I'm going to put these in here. I just realized I'm a year behind. I'm still in 2024 because I usually put the date in there. And so you can see it's SCOE 3/4/2024. And so you're here for primary Edu Protocols. Now, if you are not a primary teacher, it's okay. There are so many great applications, and I know some of my friends already know a little bit about Edu Protocols, and so I'm sure they'll be able to share the different grade levels. These are, and if you don't even know about Edu Protocols, I know some of you do. That's okay too. We're going to get into there. We're going to build a little bit of background, and hopefully, we're going to be able to experience a few of them, and you're going to get some ideas that you can implement starting like maybe tomorrow. So as she said, I've done as Stephanie said, I've done sixth grade, I've done kindergarten, I've done fourth grade, I've been a technology coach. And so I have a little bit of background and everything. Oops, thanks for telling me you can see my whole desktop. I appreciate that. It's been a while since I've used Zoom. How's that? Is that better? Totally better. I appreciate when somebody tells me that kind of stuff. Thanks, Stephanie. And you all ready? We are set up. I know I'm set up now. Now you can see the stuff, right? Okay. As I said, this is me. Hi, how are you doing? Happy Tuesday. I'm glad to have you here. And let's kind of jump into it. If you saw on the slides, and if you need to, by the way, I'm going to put these in here a few times. There are some resources on the slides. I always put way too many slides than I go through. So real quick, I just like you to know you can either use the emojis if you want to. Number like, tell me how much do you know about Edu Protocols? And if there's not a zero there, but if you're like, I know zero things about Edu Protocols, yeah, definitely, Kelly. I figure that you would probably be a 3, right? Maybe a 1. I've heard about them. I've tried them a little bit, right? Unsunny, yeah, sometimes it is unsunny. Anyway, a 2. We got some 2s. We got some 4s. It's okay if you haven't heard anything about them. So welcome, Gloria. It's good to see you. Anne, can see some 1s, 2.687. That's very precise there, 1. And so you can see we got a little bit of everything with some mostly people like, hey, I've heard about these things called Edu Protocols, but I haven't tried them. Again, I've done the book Primary Edu Protocols, but these are things that can be used in any classroom. So hopefully you ones, we're going to be there and we're going to improve. So what is an Edu Protocol? Basically an Edu Protocol, think of it, it's like a lesson shell. It's a picture frame, if you will. So you have your picture frame. In the frame, you can take out a picture and you can put in another picture, right? And so Edu Protocols can be, some Edu Protocols can go across any subject, and you just put different material into them. There's a few Edu Protocols, like the math ones, that are mostly math specific, but have been tweaked a little bit to not make math or not include math, if you will. You can see here are some of the books that are out there. We got Deploying Edu Protocols. We got Edu Protocols Book 1 and 2, Primary Edition Edu Protocols, the Math Edition Edu Protocol, Social Studies Edition of Edu Protocols. There's the ELA edition of Edu Protocols that just came out, and they're even working on a Science Edition. All right. So if you notice on the side, we got the acronym protocol. Let's just ignore the 4 and then just put the C. So if you're an Edu Protocol expert, here's what I'd like you to do in the chat. Look at the word protocol. And if you just want it in the chat, if you feel like you're a 3 or a 4 or even a 2, what's one of those things that stands out to you about Edu Protocols? If you don't know anything about protocols, again, a protocol is a lesson. It's not an activity. Typically, they're replicable. They have a structure, but you can kind of, they're a routine. You can kind of do them over and over and over. And what it does, and you'll see the next one, it builds reps. They're one-to-one. Every student is going to be engaged. Protocols are about engagement. There's a time frame. Typically, they're going to be on the shorter end, 10 minutes. On the longer end, 35 minutes. Sometimes a little longer with the lower grades or the first time. They're connected to the standards. You got the 4 C's, and they are loved by kids. The spirit of Edu Protocols, though, like anything, and thanks for chiming in. I can see that people like the repetition, that they're loved by kids, the 4 C's in there. So again, the spirit of Edu Protocols. Edu Protocols take, just like anything you're going to implement. Have you ever done like one thing one time? Maybe it's just me, and then like it didn't work and you didn't try it again? Well, it's not going to work if you don't like try it again, right? And so Edu protocols are something that take a commitment. If you're going to use them, you're only going to see them start to working if you make that commitment. If you don't just do a one and done, there's a progression in there. And honestly, like I think the biggest progression you're going to see in the lower grades, you're going to see the progression of how they really build. But again, there's a progression throughout your school year, excuse me. You're going to have immediate feedback. Kids are going to get some kind of feedback, mostly from you, the teacher. You give the kids feedback then and there, and guess what? Hopefully you're not taking home and doing a bunch of grading, because they're going to do these reps and these reps and these reps until they get to mastery. And once they get to mastery, you can go ahead and give them a grade there if you want. There's a tech balance. And again, I think it's interesting for kids. So here's just like a little video, generic video on what is Edu Protocol. I like to keep it in there if you'd like to watch it, but I'm not going to watch it now. Okay. So now you kind of hopefully have a little bit, like you that are one, like I've never heard about anything. Hopefully you can say something about what Edu Protocols are at this point. There's like over 40 Edu Protocols, but here's the thing. In our Edu Protocol primary edition, we really focus on 5. And you can see the 5 here. So the names are the little random emoji, power paragraph, the fast and the curious. There's one called math reps for math. There's sketch and tell, and little parts. Here's the thing about being a kindergarten teacher. I feel like when I was like a 6th grade or a 4th grade, right? Everything was kind of made or tailored. It was easier to adapt. However, as a kindergarten teacher, it was always kind of hard to take some of that other content and adapt it down to kindergarten. However, with that being said, I've always felt like if kindergartners can do it, then any grade can do it, right? I think it's a lot easier to transfer some of this information up. So you're going to see it at some different grade levels, mostly elementary. We're going to start today with the fast and the curious, and then we're going to kind of jump into little random emoji. And then whatever time we have left, I'm going to give an overview of sketch and tell. I'm going to pause for a second because I know I'm kind of talking pretty fast, but I think you guys are teachers and you're probably used to that. So how are we doing? Just a quick check-in. If you're with me, you can give a thumbs up. All right. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you for my camera crew back there. So I think most of us that have done Edu Protocols, I'm going to start with the simplest one to implement, and the one that I feel like it really kind of get you hooked, if you will. And that is, if you're thinking about these 5, if you know them, I want you to take a guess on which one I'm going to start with. All right, maybe I already said it, maybe you don't. If you want to put it in there, this is the one that's simplest to implement. Doesn't matter. You can see some people. What are they typing in there? Oh, I got some guess. FAC, right? Sketch and tell. Oh, they're both fairly simple, right? The one I'm going to start with, good guesses. Yeah, I thank you, Gloria. You're a good listener. Fast and curious. Okay, so we're going to start with the fast and curious. I appreciate it. You can see you're really listening. And fast and curious, if you're familiar, F and C, right? Fast and curious, FAC, as you will. Again, you can see it's been a long day. I've already done in these 2 days, I think about 13 conferences. And so, after 13 parent teacher conferences, your brain just doesn't quite function as well. So thank you for being patient with me. So the fast and the curious, it uses a quiz tool. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually play it today. All right. We're going to see and experience the fast and curious. Now, if you've been with me in one of my sessions before, you may have done this quiz. And so hopefully you're going to do mastery. I kind of switch back and forth between a few. So we're going to do a quiz. I'm going to do a very brief amount of teaching, and we're going to do the quiz again. All right. The point of doing the quiz is not really to teach you about the thing. It's to show you what fast and curious is. Because again, in fast and curious, you give the kids a quiz, you give them feedback based on how they did, and you give the quiz again. And you start doing that over time, and guess what you notice? You'll never guess. Improvement, right? Improvement. So who's ready to start a fast and the curious? Now, I think this is my suggestion. If you have a phone, I would play this game on your phone rather than toggling between two screens. All right, and I'm a big nerd. This day happened 2 days ago. The day that I think it was 2 days, it could have been 3. Does anybody know the day that was 2 days ago? Ready? It was a Pokemon day. So if you're a big Pokemon fan, you're going to do great on this. I tried to pick something that not a lot of adults necessarily know something about. Think about this as a pretest. It's only 4 questions. You can use really almost any quiz platform. Today I'm going to start with quizzes. All right. I didn't want to show you the answers. So again, if you have a phone out, that my suggestion would be to get your phone and do this on your phone. You can scan the little QR code on the screen. You can go to joinmyquiz.com. I can also like put the link in here if that's going to make it a little easier for you to click on. We're going to play this quiz. Ryan gets the points for being the first one logged in. So again, what's the point of this? To learn about Pokemon? No, it's to learn about the Fast and Curious. So we're going to take a quiz. We're going to do a little bit of teaching, and then we're going to take the quiz again. All right. And no problem with slow internet. I'm sorry it's working out that way for you. It's never fun to have slow internet. Luckily, I only have one other person home right now, so hopefully my internet's okay. Okay. So I love, one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to put auto start. And I wish it could be like start at 30 seconds here and do the time. If you use quizzes, I love this auto start because then, you know, if you ever do quiz games in class, like you're the bad guy that always starts it before everybody gets in there. Because if you wait until sometimes every kid gets there, unless your class is amazing, you could be waiting for like 5 minutes. I like the auto start on quizzes because it just kind of like takes that away. And then it just, hey, you got to try to get in there before the timer runs out. With that being said, it also has quizzes also has the late start. Yeah, auto start is great. And then of course you can see like my students love smashing the buttons for like the reactions. And so a lot of times I have to come up here and turn the reactions off because they'll just keep smashing them forever. Like, oh, I'm getting subscribers, and they're 4th graders, and I guess like that. And this is the free version of quizzes I'm using. I do have the school version. There you go, right, Kelly? I can see. I'm watching you, Kelly and Ryan. Okay, right? That's what they're doing. That's okay. And so we got about 27 seconds. We're going to start. Sometimes if I notice everybody's in there, I'll just start it anyways. But you're going to do your best. Is it okay to guess? Yes. Right? All right. Any Pokemon fans out there, by the way? You know who the best Pokemon is? Yeah, you know who it is. It's Pikachu. It's the answer is always Pikachu. Are you ready? Here we go. Yep, that's right. Pikachu. Here you go. Do your best. You got this. We're looking for growth. Snorlax. Come on, Susan. I think that's Alicia, but I could be wrong in saying that name. I apologize. Great job. Robert, on fire. All right. I know sometimes there's some issues and some friends don't finish. I'll give those few friends. There we go. How do we do? How do we feel about that?
I don't know.
Alicia,
I thought the
good?
first was Pikachu. You tricked me.
He is not.
He's not. Yeah, he's not the first one. He's the best one. He's not the first one, though. All right. So I think we're finishing up. It looks like we're done now. How's our class average? 59?
Not good, but it's a data point to give to our admins.
Fearless. And then I can't see Sal. I can't see the rest. Alicia and Robert. Now, here's the thing with this. A lot of times when we give or use these quiz tools, we give them once, maybe we give them the next day, and then we move on. But we're going to use and shift this from using it as a quiz tool to guiding our instruction. Does anybody out there like data besides me? Am I just the only big nerd? Does anybody else like data? I like data, right? And you know why I love technology? It's because you know what it gives me? Data. And you know when I get the data? Like right now, right? Like talk about like some formative assessment. So Like, this is one of the reasons I love quizzes, right? Because you can see, like, on question number 1, pretty good, 78%. Question number 2, 65%. Man, where do we need to spend the most time? And it might be a little small for you. Question number 3, 24%. Question number 4, 68%. So let's see here. Are you ready to do better? Who's ready to do better? Okay, you're going to get to see a little bit of the kindergarten teacher of me, and I'm sorry, you're just going to have to put up with me. You're stuck with me for today, because sometimes, when we get our kids to move, it helps them. So number 1, we got 78%. Does anybody know who this is? Who is this? His
Ash.
name is Ash. That's right, Gloria. You know how you can remember the thing on his hat? What does it kind of look like? A little bit, maybe it's a stretch. Let's make those things an A. A little bit, right? Ash. So what's that guy's name? Ash. And he's called Ash Ketchum because he catches Pokemon, but that's actually just his last name. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that because a lot of you got that right, but his name is Ash. Okay, it's not Professor Oak. So as most of you know, if you don't know, you do know now, who is Ash's starter Pokemon? You see the one in yellow? Who is that?
Pikachu.
Pikachu, right? And if you know how to say it, if you're a big Pokemon nerd like me, you're like, Pikachu, right? It's Pikachu. He's an electrical Pokemon, right? What color is he? Yellow. And who is his owner? Ash, right? And why is he the best? Because he's super cute. What's his name? Pikachu. All right. Here's the one we did the worst on. All right. So again, if you're a really big nerd like me, there's this thing called the Pokédex, and it has like every single Pokemon in there, and it has all their data on them. And so it numbers all of the Pokemon. And you think because Pikachu is the best Pokemon that he would be number 1, but he's not number 1. You know who's number 1? Bulbasaur, right? But you might ask me, like, what does Bulbasaur look like? See Bulbasaur right here? Guess which one Bulbasaur is? Can you guess? Totally, if you like garlic, you can guess, can't you? Bulbasaur is the first Pokemon in there, right? Gloria, got to focus on, I tell my students, read the whole thing, read the whole sentence, right? The number 1 Pokemon in the Pokédex is Bulbasaur. What's the number 1 Pokemon? Bulbasaur. You got it? Put it in your mind, right? And make a little bulb with your hands if you want to, however you want to put that in your brain, Bulbasaur. Okay, this was the one we had the most on. So this is if I was in the classroom, maybe turn to your partner, right? Who's the number 1? Bulbasaur. Finally, question number 4. Most of you got this right, but I still had about 32% of you that need a little help on this. This Pokemon, guess what his name is?
Caterpie, like a caterpillar.
Yeah, Caterpie. You're right, Gloria. And the reason that we call him Caterpie instead of Wormo is because he has segments like a caterpillar. And so his name is Caterpie. Now, for you, if you're a young teacher, a teacher of younger grades like me, not young as an old, but a teacher of younger grades, one thing I appreciate about quizzes, and you can do this for any age, is the ability to kind of put pictures in the questions, put pictures in the responses, but also you can have the read to me feature, which is a great feature that you can turn on and off. All right, so here's what we did. We did 59%. Does anybody think we can do better than 59%? So fast and curious, what do we do? We give the quiz, we look at the data and teach on the quiz, and then what do? We replay the quiz. Here we go. Ready? One more time. This time I'm only going to give you a minute to log in. I think that's going to be plenty of time since you're all experts here. Why isn't my start or stop? Start. Oh man, I'm just going to start after a minute, and then you're going to have 30 seconds for change. So think about it. Let's review as we're doing this. Who is that gentleman in the picture? What was his name? You got it, Ash Ketchum. Who is Ash Ketchum's Pokemon?
Pikachu.
You got it, Susan. Pikachu. The number 1 Pokemon in the Pokédex?
Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur. Remember that garlic bulb. And finally, that one picture of the Pokemon that looked like a caterpillar is named what?
Caterpie.
Caterpie. All right. So I think last time we had about 31. I don't know if everybody. So again, you can compete a bunch against yourself, but you know who we're really trying to compete against? You're not yourself as individual, yourself as the class. Okay.
Could you drop the link, please?
Yes, I will drop the link again. Thank you. I appreciate you keeping me honest here. There's the link. Just because you said that, I'm gonna give you another minute to jump in and click on the link. All right. Everybody ready? Give that last person 29. Here we go. And I believe late joining is on, but I'm gonna start it. And you're gonna do, we'll see how much you do. What's the improvement gonna be? So that's what we call a glitch, right? Because did it just end it for you, or is it just me? Did everybody finish?
Yeah, all done.
That was quick, huh? So our class accuracy went from 59 to what? 90%. Was that a good improvement? How much lesson planning did I have to do for that? Not a whole lot. I mean, you can either go in any of these quiz apps and you can find your own quiz. Sometimes I'll find quizzes, or sometimes you can make quizzes. But this works with like any level. It's great for material. And so again, fast and curious, we do a rep, we give immediate feedback, and we do one more rep. All right. If I don't always have time for the rep in the same day or in the same sitting, I try to make time, but I'll do a rep and I'll give the feedback. And then maybe like later on, I'll give the feedback and then I'll do the rep. So if they come in after recess, I'll do the rep and I'll give them the feedback. And then maybe I need to get into my lesson. And so before the end of the day, I'll review the feedback and give them the rep again. And then a lot of times you'll see here, like some of the teachers, what they do is like, if especially high school teachers, you can see, they'll actually write the percentages on their boards for their different periods. This started for using vocabulary. This started out with vocabulary. And using it for vocabulary instruction. But you can see there's so many different uses for it. And this is a great quote. It's this guy named Sam Patterson, and he said, "Don't raise your hand. I'm calling on everybody, because who's engaged when you're doing this? Everybody, right? So it's not an app or a tool. It's a pedagogy. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I know my students just love Book It, but I also love quizzes. Again, here's some example, especially for primary, so you can see it, but like I'm going to kind of go through the examples kind of quickly. I'll stop at a few, but again, you can use it just such simple concepts with them. For the younger kids, it was identifying numbers, right? For this one, we did shorter and we did longer, and yes, these are kindergartners. We did number sentences. What are building math fluency? Right now, I'm really using it a lot for my fourth graders and some their multiplications. You can see this one. We're using it with CVC words. Sounds, right? Anything that requires fluency. This isn't getting into DOK 3. This is like taking your time and some of these like things that, you know, you don't need to just sit there and instruct or require more fluency. Let's make some time and do those quicker in a more engaging way to make them stickier for kids and move on, right? Sounds. Again, Math 99 is great for math. Again, it kind of builds it in there. Do some problems. It shows you the mistakes they made the most. It has them move on. This one actually she does with word problems. So my co-author, Jen Dean. Self-paced, fast and curious. And this is where I do for multiplication for my fourth graders is I give them a number and they take the test. And then when they pass that number, when they pass their fives 5 times, they've mastered that. This was for sight words, and you can click on this and see. So every one of these cards on the side is a sight word. So if you have concepts or vocabulary, you can break your vocabulary into smaller tests. And so you're like, you make your quiz and you do it as like a homework quiz. And so you could, all right, when you're past the first 10 vocabulary words of the unit, you can move to the next 10, your orange slide, right? Do those, review them. And I think one thing you teach students is how to kind of be aware of their own answers And then if you can build, in this one, I use this little video as my feedback, but how are you giving them feedback in between? Again, some more math examples. This is, again, another leveled set where each of these little computers is like a different amount of math problems that they do, like different sets of math problems. Again, so many different, you could even, my colleague, she does it with spelling, right? And that's how she practices her spelling words. And so again, there's lots of different ways. Again, I'm kind of skipping some of these. You can see again, multiplication, right? Giving them the different multiplication levels. Math 99 again has so many different options. So you can see again, these are just, I want to kind of show you more protocols, but again, giving the examples. Again, use pre-made quizzes. I do like to give them live. I do also like to assign them as homework for kids to practice. Like we're doing one on fractions. Let's do the fractions in class and practice identifying fractions, and let's do some teaching, but why not send it home as well? And because the whole idea is let's give them more reps, let's give them some feedback and build those reps across time. So I'm going to pause for a second and kind of to give you some chance to process. Again, lots of resources in here. Okay, so as a review, fast and curious, slowing it down. We give them a quiz. We teach based on the results. We give them the quiz again. So I want you to think about, doesn't matter if you do kindergarten, 4th grade, 6th grade, high school, what is something that you could use this Edu Protocol lesson frame for? If you want to drop it in the chat, or give you, if you want to open and turn on your microphone, what is something you could use this for? Give everybody a second. And I do have a link to the slides.
I teach 3rd grade and we have to use some of the benchmark curriculum. This is how I teach all the grammar. So we're doing like comparative as superlatives through it. We're doing complex and compound sentences. We're doing abstract nouns where they have to identify abstract nouns and non-abstract nouns. I also do it for math. Right now I've got one going for 3 different levels of fractions and geometry, because we're never going to get to geometry before the CASP test. So how can I kind of front load all of those geometrical shapes for them?
Those are great. Those are great. Kelly gave me some good ideas too. I'm thinking about ways to squeeze in some extra content in there too. We've been doing ours too on Greek roots, right? If they building those word parts. Fractions, vocabulary for comprehension, biology lessons, right? Multiplication review is great. So again, pretty simple so far. Is this a pretty simple concept?
I have a questions.
Yep.
So if let's say this is amazing, I love it. But if I'm teaching kinder and I want the kids to play this, does it mean each kid should have their own iPad and then get the QR code, or how do you get the kids on? Or can I install this in the Schoology or something so that they can just access like?
Usually, like, those are great questions. You don't have to have all devices. I think it's best to have one-to-one devices, but I think kindergartners also love working in partners. And so you can partner it up and have them do it together. And I would use Seesaw, and what I would do is I would take the link and I'd push it out in Seesaw, and then they would click on it.
Okay. So
And
I
then
can
even
just
the
get the
beginning,
link and then they can click on.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
right.
honestly, throughout the year, once they get good, they can put in the code in the beginning. I use something called the name generator in quizzes. And it will automatically generate their name. So I don't even have to worry about them typing their
Great.
name, because in the beginning, it's not as much about me seeing their score. It's about giving them practice.
Yes.
And then a
My
lot of
kids can
times,
log in Schoology and everything by themselves. So if I can make the link and put it in there, that's perfect. Thank you.
it's also great for
Awesome.
anybody who does like small group, because when my
Yeah.
kindergartners too, what I would do, or any grade level, if I had that group of kids, because I think probably all of us has the group of 4 or 5 kids that just are below grade level and always struggle.
Yeah.
So one thing I would do is I'd have everybody else play, and then I'd pull that small group over to me, and we'd play it together on our touchscreen TV. And so that's another way to kind of just build in that as well.
Great.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for asking. All right, how you feeling
Uh,
about that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like for my third graders, like we always used to just do I have iPads. We just do the QR codes, and that seems to help because they're just like putting it on the screen and doing the camera and not having to worry about login. And then we're frequently, especially my lower kids, I'll have them play with a buddy where the two of them log in as one person and then they confer to make the answer, and then one person will hit submit, or
Yeah.
they'll choose the answer, and then they rotate, so you do the first one, I do the
Right.
second one, you do the third one, so that they're both actively participating.
Right.
All right. Thank you for all that interaction and questions. I appreciate that on a Tuesday afternoon, because Tuesday's only one day after Monday. All right. We good with Fast and Curious? We get the basic structure? All right. So I'm going to move into our next one. And again, we're kind of going to see how far we go. We kind of might do emoji writing and then just touch a little bit on sketch and tell. I'm just kind of watching our time. And again, this is something that can be used at every grade level, because here's a question for you. Do you do writing in your class? If your answer is yes, then guess what you can use? Emoji writing. Now, I'm going to show you emoji writing. I'm going to kind of jump back and forth a little bit, right? Emoji writing is about, you have some random emojis, and that's what keeps it exciting. You give, they compose based on the emoji, and you give immediate feedback. And again, this works at every grade level. Now, typically there is like a random emoji generator, and I don't want that little, sorry, I'm like, I want to go back, but I don't want to click on that. Let's see if I can do this. There's this random emoji generator that you can use. That's a lot of fun. And so you can see how I can generate these emojis. And so you can animate the emojis. I love the animate. See this little button I'm toggling up here on the right? It says animate emojis. And so it generates emojis, and then basically you get the kids to write. Now in this, there's a structured, right? Okay, I'm gonna put my email in for the 17th time. That's just something you have to do, I guess, but it is free. So it's structured, so you can do like the main idea. So what would the main idea of this be? Ropes. What would the main idea of this be? Trains, right? All right, I want you to think about a detail about a train. What's one detail about a train? Oh, on trains, they're great to transport things. All right, I'm kind of showing you, but I'm going to show you a different version. So this gives you a little bit ideas about emoji. Now I'm going to show you how we do it with our younger learners as well. It's the same kind of, I'm going to be Batman, because who doesn't like Batman? If you don't, it's okay. I still appreciate you. All right. So you ready? Again, I'm going to kind of put on my kindergarten hat. So if you know, this week, we've been focusing on the sound. There's two letters we're focusing on, the O and the W. But what is that sound that the O and W make? Does anybody know? Anybody remember? Think about some of those words like snow and blow. What sound does it make? You got it. It's the O sound. All right. So thinking about that, we're going to have this random emoji. Are you ready? I'm going to take my eraser here, and I want you to think about, what do you think that is? See that little picture there? See how I just removed that? What do you think, thinking about the O sound, what do you think this could be behind here? Anybody have any ideas? Feel free to just put them in the chat. You can even unmute. All right. Erica thinks it's a window, and then I could ask, like, well, why do you think that is? A little more. You guessed it. Thanks for good job. The random emoji we have is window. And so again, I know I don't have as many like of my younger grade teachers in here, but I do have my awesome, wonderful kindergarten teacher in here. So let's think about the sound in window, right? What sounds do we hear in window? And I could go through some of my phonics work. Now with the younger kids, I'm just really focusing on, in the beginning, writing the words, but you kind of saw with the random emoji generator, you can use it to generate a paragraph, or you can use it to generate a story. It gives kids some creative constraint Sorry, I should have done my W smaller. And by the way, if you ever try writing with a mouse, it's actually really difficult to write with a mouse and do really good kindergarten letters. So I want you to think about a sentence. We're going to write a little bit of a story. That's what we're focusing on. Remember, some of the ways that we talk about writing a story is starting the story with a character or a setting or even a plot event. So does anybody have a sentence they could start our story with that has the word window in it? Give you a second to process. You can answer if you want. You can watch what I'm doing, but I'm going to give you some think time regardless. I'm going to start with a plot event. The window. Oh, I love this. Kids all like this. All of a sudden, what? Oops. The window flew. What did the window do? It flew open. And a giant what?
Pigeon?
Pigeon. A giant pigeon.
Eagle.
A giant eagle. Ooh, that's a good sound. Eagle.
Long E, yes.
A giant eagle flew in. Ooh. Maybe later we want to go back and revise because we use the word flew twice. All right. So we generated a sentence. Now here's where the challenge is. Are you ready? So again, we're working on the O sound. I'm going to get my eraser. Anybody have an idea what our next emoji is?
It's a partial snowman, but I'm not a good emoji decipherer.
Thank you, Gloria. Anybody else? Do you think it's what? Snow? All right, so here's your challenge. Let's look at the first sentence and let's think about all of a sudden the window flew open, a giant eagle flew in. All right, here's your challenge. Again, we'd kind of go, you could do snowman or you could just do snow. Here's the thing about emoji writing. There's not just one right answer, but here's what I want from you. What's a sentence that you can write in our story that's going to connect these two ideas? We have the eagle that flew in through the open window. How are we going to connect it to snow or snowman?
Snowman's top hat? He had it in his mouth?
Okay, he had it in his mouth, but you got to connect it. He had what in his mouth? How do we connect it to that?
Had the snowman's top hat in his mouth.
Oh, the pigeon had a snowman's top hat in his mouth. Okay. The eagle flew in to avoid the snow. The bird was covered in snow. You know what I'm noticing? Not everybody has the same answer. Like when you do writing, that's sometimes formulaic, and I think that's okay. Like the first reason, the second reason, the third reason, and you get kind of paragraphs that are all pretty similar. Right, okay, so how about this? The eagle had, oh, the snow blew in with the eagle so much snow blew in with the eagle that I could build a snowman. That's a good one too. I'll do that one, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this to save some time. Let's see, can I copy it from here? Thanks, Kelly. Okay. And I love, like with the older kids, you know what I would start doing besides it as they increase? Hey, does anybody notice some mistakes in this sentence? How do we correct it? Let's go back and reread it. Oh, you're right. Even I bet you in high school, maybe it's not me, they still forget the capital letter. Do high schoolers still do that? Or is it just every other grade that still forgets the capital letter in the periods?
High school still does it.
Yeah, totally, right? Enough snow blew in with the eagle that I could build a snowman. All right, that's good. And I noticed this is, what is it? Subordinating conjunction. That's above my pay grade as a fourth grade, but I think that's right. And we go to the third one. Okay, same kind of thing. Oh, what's this? How do you connect it? We're telling a story. How do we connect these words? So it's the point of this, and I'm kind of rushing a little bit, going back here, thinking about this, right? When we're generating these random emojis, and we could do story emoji, right? And in story emoji, it says it has the format, somebody wanted to, but so then, right? But let's say we're working on structured writing, right? Most of our kids have to write some kind of informational paragraph. But the thing is, I feel like how do you get kids excited about writing? When your kids do writing, and you tell them to pull out their writing notebooks, regardless of subject, do they say, "Yeah, let's do writing"? Did anybody kids say that? Maybe like those one or two, right? Or this is how you get kids excited. So we're going to practice our informational paragraph, and I want you to think about, what are we going to write about today? We're going to write about, if you don't like it, you know what you can do? Do you have to stick with that? Nope. Roll again. I love the animate, by the way. Today we're going to write about, are you guys okay with writing about helicopters? We're going to write about helicopters. With the older kids, guess what you can start having them do? Figure out some research about helicopters, right? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you to find a few facts about helicopters. And today we're writing an occasion, position, topic sentence. And so I want you to think about how you're going to introduce this topic of helicopters into your writing. All right, write your topic sentence about helicopters. Go. Good job. Right, and then you move. Okay, what's our first detail? If we're writing about helicopters, ooh, how are you going to connect this? Do we have to take it? Here's the thing. In the beginning, like you guys, you're taking these emojis literally, right? And you're thinking about a halo. But the more kids do it, the more they start being creative and thinking about what could that halo represent as far as a detail about helicopters. But you think about writing about, how helicopters have been used to evacuate victims. Why? Because when you're evacuating people, they're probably happy to be saved, right? And they're thinking that you're their angel. What could our next detail be about? Okay, so I think you kind of get hopefully the gist of this, right? Where you're giving them emojis, they're composing, and then you're giving them some feedback. Everybody get that basic gist? Okay, now again, I'm just going to show you a few. I'm not going to play the videos if you want to. But you can see here, like in elementary school, kindergarten, we start with hat. And then as we move forward, I'm going to kind of skip. We move from one emoji, random emoji. Now they're writing 3 different words. Is there one right answer? Nope, there's not. As you matriculate up, these are actually later on. You can see these were done on paper. This is another protocol, but you can see we were just using these in kindergarten to write sentence. And so if you look at the yellow first one, that one student wrote the yellow face moves. Another one wrote the yellow face moves. Another one wrote the black sunglasses move, right? And in lower grades, we're just getting them to write sentences. Here again, first grade, getting them to write sentences. Again, I'm going to you've seen a little bit. Here's first grade, getting them to write a story. Once there was a robber who took a gem. The police got in the car and chased him. The cat robber laughed so hard that he cried and cried because he lost the police by climbing a wall. Then we start to talk about going and revising. Again, same emojis, different story. Informational. Here's some random emoji poetry. Think you could use it for poetry? Here's the point. We're getting students to be creative in their writing. We're getting students to ask to do writing. Again, second grade, I think it's honestly good in any grade. You see how they just drew the quick emoji up there? I feel like in any grade, having them draw it just real quick, wherever it is, it gives them that think time. How about this? Third grade, informational text. They wrote about elephants. Okay, that was the first emoji. The second emoji, they wrote about how the tusk protects them. The next emoji, they wrote about how elephants eat a lot. It's a fish, right? The next one, they wrote about how elephants use their ears to communicate. Again, we can really be creative in how we're being guided in our writing. Because I bet your kids sometimes say something like, I'm not sure what to write. Again, fourth graders on technology. Using technology, using it when we walk, right? And it has a lot of different uses. People are not sure about using it in school. It can be used for apps like DoorDash. Fifth grade, talking about a summer vacation and going on the plane and watching a funny movie and got distracted because the plane gets bumpy in bad weather. And then hopefully the bumps would stop. And then they heard the announcement at the end. Hopefully now you can see some of these examples. Does that help you think about how you might use it? Right. This is something that can be like a quick write. If anybody does any quick write, then this is something you can use. You literally can bring up your random emoji generator, right? Do you have to do all 5 all the time? No. Can you just use it to get kids to write a better sentence? Sure. All right, everybody, I want you, probably not this one, because you never know what kids will write with that kind of dependent upon their grade level. But hey, I want you to write an interesting sentence about a sloth. I want it to be a complex sentence. I want it to be a compound sentence, right? I want you to write me a simile and comparing sloth to mitochondria, right? It's as creative as you want it to be. Okay. So how are we feeling? Yes, Gloria, you can rig the emoji. Did you see how, Gloria, I rigged the emojis? Literally, we did it in Seesaw, and honestly, the way we do this is we copy and paste this picture, and then we take like a marker, and then we just color over the marker. You can't rig the emoji in the generator, but like in Google Slides, you could pick 5 emojis and then cover them up with boxes, right? If you want to
Thank you.
and it seems like, especially the younger kids, maybe the older kids, but the younger kids, they won't know the difference on the grade levels that it's rigged, especially if you have a tool again like Seesaw, which is so fun, where you can just copy and paste the emoji, like literally, and then just color over it with a marker. And then it's the excitement, like not knowing what it's there, and then forcing kids to be creative in their writing. So, other questions about emoji writing? I want you to think about what some ways are at being creative, right? And then I'm just gonna tiny bit touch a little bit on sketch and tell, just a tiny bit. It's like a taste, an appetizer. What are some ways you think you could use emoji writing? I know I'm really pushing you because it's 4:30 on a Tuesday.
I mean, across grade bands, ELA, history, science, I see it all 3 would work beautifully.
Yeah, brain breaks, definitely.
I hadn't thought about it till just now, but you could use it for them to make a math story, like a CGI math story.
Yeah, math story, right? Like thinking about like what's their topic of their math story, right? What's it about? What's the topic? What are things that are being added? What are things that are being lost? I really love the differentiation because, like, you know, as a kindergarten teacher, like I would put up the emoji crab, and then, you know, some of my kids that were struggling would write the word crab, but then some of my other kids would try to write the word crustacean. And it would be a great way to introduce vocabulary. Oh, that is a crustacean. Everybody say crustacean, right? Again, and make it meaningful for your grade level. And again, it's just a fun way, whether you want to like do it a lot. Think about, you did this 5 days and you wrote a different paragraph on informational text every day, right? Or even I'm thinking about when I'm starting to do narrative, and we're just starting narrative. And so like somebody who, you know, a cameraman wanted, what did he want? To go to sleep, but what happened? But he had to make breakfast for his kids. So he got in the race car and ran to go to the store as fast as he could before they woke up, but he couldn't find eggs because all the eggs had been bought by everybody and they were so expensive. Then he decided that he wasn't going to buy any eggs and make waffles, but instead he was just going to use a waffle mix and decorate it, the waffles with sprinkles. There you go. Do you see how quickly I came up with the story? Think about just even kids to do that orally, right? And practice generating those stories. You don't even have to take it to writing if you want. Okay. And I think students, yes, students will, if you do emoji writing, you will get students to ask to do writing. Just try it. If you want to start somewhere, start here, right? Again, you got the structured, but always remember the animated emojis is super fun. Today, kids, we're writing about sadness. Today, kids, we're writing about whales. Today, kids, we're writing about electric cars. How much lesson prep is there? Not a whole lot. Okay. All right. Is everybody okay if I just at least talk a little tiny bit about sketch and tell, so I can try to put a little more information in your brains? And then Stephanie, you're gonna like kick me into the proverbial table, okay? When you need me to like give me my whatever 5 minutes or whatever you want to give me.
Totally. I'm not ready to do that yet. I want to
Okay.
learn more, but I will when the time comes.
So again, just more resources about emoji. You can use Google Slides, you can use paper, you can use Seesaw. Some great places to find emoji. Honestly, like if you like emojis and you want to go down a little bit of a rabbit trail and you're looking to like, where do I get my emojis from when I copy and paste them? You can try to go to here, emojipedia.org. It's a whole lot of fun. Here's some, if you're in kindergarten, shout out to my kindergarten teacher there. We have a bunch of templates. Here's some random emoji templates for first and second grade. Okay, here's some more for second grade. This teacher, she uses benchmarks. She aligns it with her curriculum. Here's if you want to make it in Seesaw, and some more stuff on emojis. Lots of resources. All right. So the last one we're going to introduce, and again, this is another simple one, but can you guess what you're going to do in this one? You're never going to guess what you're going to do ever in a million years. Yes, you guessed it. I could hear you. I could hear you say yes. There's one thing, Desiree, you said draw and write, but we're going to add one super important skill to this that I think sometimes we forget it at any grade levels. Especially I found out my district has, for districts over 5,000 students, my district in California has the largest population of English language learners. Okay, so we have a lot of English language learners for largest district in the state of California for students over 5,000. You probably have some, again, English language learners too. Do you have some kids that need to practice developing language? How do we get kids to internalize their learning? My favorite thing to do to get turns, and I tell my students know this all the time, I'm going to give you a chance to process your learning. And you know what that means they're going to do? Not just sketch and tell. It's the second part that's really important. Getting them to talk. We need to give to kids an opportunity to use whatever you're teaching them to say it, right? To think and talk. You're right, Rita. So when we're having them sketch and we're having them tell, Rita, what are we giving them? You just said it, the opportunity to do. We're giving the opportunity to think and talk. So this is a fun prompt that I like to use with this, right? But this is a sketch and tell, right? If you won the lottery, what would you buy? And so I'd have you take a Post-it note out, and I just say, I want you to go ahead and draw. Why am I having you take the time to draw? Because it lets you do what? Think. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Flippity. Has anybody ever heard of this Flippity? Thumbs up, I've heard of Flippity. Thumbs down, I haven't heard of Flippity. Well, check this out. This is honestly one of my favorite name selector tools. You know why? Because check out, see this? Teams of two? Nope, that's not what I want, groups of two. All right, everybody, take your Post-it note, and I want you to go, I'm going to spin this 5 times. All right, go find your partner. Go talk to that partner and tell them if you won the lottery, what you would do. Right? I love this because even if we have like different ways to get kids to partner up, I feel like kids just, I tell the kids, you know, you don't have to marry this person. You're just meeting with them for a little bit, right? Because you have a lot of kids that either always partner up with the same person, or they're like, I don't want to work with that, or you just have a lot of troubles. This takes it out. But you know, Jane and Kate, they can't work together. You know why? They fight too much. So I'm going to click on Jane's, and I'm going to switch with Robert, different Robert. I know we have a Robert in here. All right, now you met with one partner. Am I going to have them sit down and write? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have them tell again. Go meet that partner. Tell them again. I can do it a few times. You see how quickly it is to make partners? The whole point is getting kids to share out loud, whether it's at their table. I honestly like with my younger kids, we do a lot of shoulder and face partner. I love Kagan strategies. We do a lot of table teacher, like one person stands up and facilitates the conversation. Groups of 3, groups of 4, groups of 5, teams. Anyways, this is a free tool. The way I use it is I use like, there's a Google spreadsheet you can use, and you can put all the names in there so they stick in there. But anyways, here's the point of sketch and tell. Get them to think by sketching and get them to tell. And there's a few variations you can do, but basically you're giving them a prompt, you're having them take in a page, having them sketch, having them tell or explain it to a partner, and then usually take it to writing. And if it's my younger kids, they're going to record. And so I just want to show you a few quick examples. This is again kindergarten. We were reading the book called Dragons Love Tacos and kind of getting ready for the LPAC. Here you go. Hopefully my audio's turned on. Can you hear it? This is my Taco Bell taco. Oh, let me see just real quick if I can do it quickly. And if not, I'm just going to move on because here we go. Boom. Okay. Got it. Let me see. Now can you hear it?
This is my Taco Bell taco. I go to Taco Bell every day, and I like my taco with carne, and I like my taco with lettuce and tomatoes, and my favorite part in it is avocados and white cheese. And I'm gonna write the word taco.
Yes, 2 orders of each, please.
I love
She wants 2 orders of the
tacos.
tacos, right? Okay, again, that's a kindergartner. What is she doing? She's building language. Can you start thinking
2
about your
potatoes and
ELD
yeah.
standards, right? Can you start thinking about your ELD standards? Can you start thinking about like LPAC assessment? Can you start thinking about maybe your writing standards? It's so simple of getting them. And this is just, how are they telling? They're recording, right? This was another one. How do I feel sad at school because I miss my friends? Sketch and tell, right? And this one, what was she doing? She was, oh, science. See that she's doing science. What did she sketch? A butterfly. She labeled it with the abdomen, the thorax, the wings, the head, the antenna. She drew it, she wrote it, she shared about it with a partner, she recorded it in Seesaw. So anyways, it's just this whole idea of let's add some kids time with some thinking, right? This is a fun one I love to do with Post-it notes, especially with the lower grades, but you can do it with any grades. Again, for the LPAC, would you rather, choose and give reason for the LPAC if you're familiar with that? So what we would do is like what you prefer. Do you prefer apples and bananas? And so you can see some of the kids are at different writing stages, but this is probably in November, I think. And so which one? Did my class like apples or bananas more?
Bananas.
Bananas? How do you know that?
The shapes.
They like bananas more because of the shapes? I had some friends that say apples. Why do you think they like apples more? What's your evidence that supports your reasoning?
There's more color with the apples.
Okay.
They took time.
Let me ask some more questions. Because the time they put in there. Okay. How many kids chose? Can you tell me how many? Oh, I like Andrea. Her reasoning was that there were 16 for apples and 7 for bananas. How many more kids liked apples than bananas if 16 liked apples and 7 liked bananas? Oh, you're saying 9? How did you know that? What did you do to get 9? I understand this is kindergarten, but do you see how many subjects I'm implementing in this? We're talking about forming an opinion, right? We're talking about data. How do we talk about data with kids? How do you support your reasoning? My 4th graders, I make them say things like when we do something like this, based on the evidence, I can make the conclusion that our class prefers apples. What supports the reasoning that supports my evidence is the fact that 16 of my peers chose apples and only 7 chose bananas. Would you want your kids at your grade level talking like that? Now, is that every 4th grader? No. Do they completely talk about like that? No. But when we get them to practice and engage in activities like this, what happens? We build language. It's so simple. It takes a Post-it note. You know how long this activity takes? Draw, go ahead and share, write, stick it up there. How long do you think this takes? Any guesses? You can type it in the chat. You can put it on your hands. You got it, Deb. You're the winner. Maybe somebody else. A little longer with kindergartners, but yeah, about 10 minutes, right? It usually takes about 10 minutes from start to finish. This isn't like the 10 minutes that they write in the teacher's manual that actually takes 50 minutes, right? When you try to do the lesson. So again, it's just sketching and telling. This is amazing. This kid drew this with a trackpad. Can you believe it? They're learning about bald eagle. So she sketched the bald eagle and she's going to tell about the bald eagle. That's a great one. The American flag. This is a lot of fun. You can do a lot. I mean, there's just honestly so much. One of my favorite, by the way, guess what it is? Build, sketch, and tell. Do it with Legos. Design thinking challenges. Isn't that cool? Build and tell. We did this year. We made arrays with Play-Doh with my fourth graders, and then they had to build the array with Play-Doh, and then they had to tell people about it. I mean, there's just so possibility. It's basically create something and have time to think about it and then tell about it. There's graph and tell, right? There's so many different ideas. So do you get the point of sketch and tell? Sketch something or make something to give you think time and let you be creative, and then share it orally. And then if you have time, you're going to take it to writing, right? Okay. Wow. How you feeling? I know I kind of gave you a lot of information. So lots of stuff in there on sketch and tell. So what did we learn about? If you covered this up, could you tell me what you learned about today as your exit ticket? If you like put your hands over it, what protocols did we learn about? You don't have to answer. You can think about it in your brain. The first one we did. I'm going to try to use this. Can I use this? Can I write? Ooh, I never do Zoom a lot, but you got it. Fast and curious. You got it, Kelly. And that's about giving an assessment, doing some teaching, giving an assessment again. It transfers from short-term memory into long-term memory. The second one we did. That was the third one, but great, Kelly, thank you. The little random emoji. And if you remember, right, we use the random emoji generator to get kids to write. You can still see I have my circles on there. And the last one, sketch and tell. If you want to know more about these and you don't want to buy anything, that's okay. I'm going to tell you how you can get them. And then I'm going to turn it back over. Like, I'm just learning this as I go. I never use Zoom. Eraser, eraser, eraser. I just learned some new stuff right now. I mean, it's been a while. So again, what's the protocol? You see how there's repetition in there? You can do it across time. Do you have to do it every day? No. Start it with 5 days, then do it 3 days, then do it 2 days, then do it 3 days, then do it 2 days. Start with 1, then add 2, then add 3. Serious commitment, right? So there's free podcasts here. There's free templates. You can buy the books if you want, but you know the best place to go is this place right here. Facebook, and go to this community. You can click on the link right there. It's the Edu Protocols community. And if you want to learn more about it and see a bunch of examples, that's probably the best place to go. Yes, Kelly, right? It's a very vibrant places. It's so many supportive educators there. If you have any problems or questions or want to see more examples, you go there. So super good place to go. So this is me. Hopefully you had fun and learned some stuff that you can do not tomorrow, right? You can do it tomorrow. And if you're not ready to do it tomorrow, do it next Monday. You can do it then. Right? Thank you so much, Gloria. And I will, yes, I'll drop the slides again here. How do we do it with time? We're okay?
We did great. And I beat you to it then. I just dropped him in the chat. But we have about 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions for Ben before we start with our closing, we have about 5 minutes if you want to put them in the chat or if you want to unmute your mic. I was following the questions in the chat as you were sharing, Ben, and you did a great job of looping them in, so we don't have any built-up questions. So if anybody has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat.
Just a quick one for like data collection wise, for like our admins, like really pushing and trying to get everyone on board to use the Edu protocols. Like I saw the quiz one, you had data immediately. With the writing, it's harder because you have to have the writing samples, but is there like one in particular that you love or the one that helps them sell it? Because I'm a believer, I'm into it, but I want to convince others so that like it's across all kinder through fifth at my campus, you know?
So this is what I feel like for me when I use Edu Protocols. Like if I do the random emoji and let's say they do it on paper, I would do it like 5 days. And then on day 6, I collect my papers and just do a real quick stack. Like who gets it, who doesn't get it, who gets it, who doesn't get it, right? And then maybe after a few weeks, I can take that and I can use our rubric and I can use that to actually grade some of their writing assessment, right? Let's and see how they go. The other thing you can use is just like, hey, here's our pre-test for our writing assessment, and then do the emoji and then do the post-test to the writing assessment. Do you see improvement in that? Right? And so I feel like for me, a lot of it, because like writing, how do you collect data? You actually have to like grade the stuff, right? Same thing, honestly, like with the sketch and tell. The whole point of doing the sketching and telling is to get the kids to be able to write more and engage more, right? And so, like, where do you do that? In Seesaw, I could collect data by having them record, right? And so, I think whatever data that you use, you know, if you want to use it, if you have some kind of a summative assessment, give a peer assessment, give a post assessment. This is the strategy I used in between. If you're having strong writing, right? My first grade teacher, Jen, she has some great scores on iReady, right? Use your iReady scores. Why are your scores so much better? Or why are your scores, how did you make those improvements? Well, this is what I did. So I think those are some of the things that you can do as far as improvement. I know, like for me, definitely, I focus a lot on the math reps, which we didn't talk about today, and the fast and curious, and definitely like as far as my school went and our iReady scores, I had some of the stronger math scores in our school because we used curriculum. This is my first year in fourth grade, and I'm a new teacher to the school. So then it's like the question, right? What happened? How did that happen? Right? So that's a chance to shine, I think.
Thanks, Ben. I feel like that is so important to think carefully about, like, well, what data is already being collected and where can you see those leverage points and how the Edu protocols might be collecting the data that you're already, or impacting the data you're already collecting. All right, we have time for another question if anyone else has a question for Ben.
And you know, here's one thing, not related to question. I was like thinking I was going to do a little bit of a raffle, but I was like, how am I going to do this raffle? So here's what I'm going to try to do, unless you have any other ideas. I'm going to, Stephanie, I don't know the Zoom tools very well. I was like, can I copy and paste the name? I'm going to do this flippity and I'm going to grab a spreadsheet. And if you want to, if you don't want to, because the raffle is for an Edu Protocol book, the primary edition, you may not be interested in that. So I'm going to, in a second, put this spreadsheet in here, pick a row and add your name. All right. So give me just a second. And while I do that, if you want to be in the raffle, I have 2 books I'm going to give away. Okay, I'm going to put my name in row 3 because if you delete row 3, then it will mess it up. So let me see. All right. Okay, so here's the spreadsheet. Let's see how this works. Go ahead and just, if you want to go right here under my name, type your name in there. And I'm sure you all have good manners with.
Thanks, Ben. It looks like it's working. You might want to make sure you have your last name or first initial of your last name, just in case there is more than one person with the same name.
And at the end, what I'll do is I'll get your email address and then I'll email you and then you can send me your address and I'll ship you a book. And even if, for example, you're not like, if you're a high school teacher and you want the copy, that's it. Yeah, so if you just see a name in there, even if you want to put it in another column, I can copy and paste your name. But just if you see somebody's name in, there, that's probably you want to. And remember, after you type your name, to move your cursor out of that box, because then it will process your name. Because sometimes I'll like sign up for something on a spreadsheet, and then I won't move my cursor on that out of that box, and then I'll realize that it doesn't show up on the other person's. Like, oops! I swear I did it. I promise.
While we populate the spreadsheet, it's funny, Gloria asked a question in the chat that was a question on my mind, but I was afraid to ask. Do you have a favorite Edu protocol, and what might that be?
You know what? I can say, I don't know if it's my favorite, but when I did kindergarten, the one I started with was Math Reps and Fast and Curious. And when I moved to 4th grade, the one I started with was, and I can add your name, Gloria, Math Reps and Fast and Curious. And so those, I think, and again, not everybody has those, but those are some pretty easy ones to start, especially for elementary school teachers. We didn't go over it today, but I also really enjoy a one called 8 Parts. And so you can Google that. 8 Parts is fun, where you take a picture and you learn how to write more interesting sentences. So like math reps it's great. And so Kelly is 8 parts and sentence parts, like thin slides, right? If you don't know what these are, there's lots of different, but I do like thin slides definitely for vocabulary if you're a little bit more familiar. Again, if you're not know what these are, I mean, honestly, any of these books, you can get the Kindle edition if you're interested. They're all pretty fairly easy reads, but just go to the Facebook community and you can type in these. And again, easiest thing to start with is Fast and Curious. All right, so I'm just going to delete a few rows here. Does anybody, and maybe I'll share one more time so people can make sure they can see their name on my screen. Just take a second and look at and see if it's in there. Anybody else? If you don't see your name in there, just you can put it in the chat too. And then where did my chat go? Here, it's over here.
I'll watch the chat for you too. Okay,
Amber, I see Amber.
I'm gonna add Amber. I'm gonna add all right, I added the 2 from the chat.
Okay. All right, anybody else? So you're going to Flippity. I'm just going to click here. Okay, and now hopefully everybody should see their name in our spinny wheel here. You ready? All right, person number 1. All right, Gloria. Person number 1 is Gloria. So Gloria, if you want to
Thank you.
if you send me a message with your email, please and thank you. Whatever email you want to, you can be a private message or you know whatever you want to do. And the second one. Okay. Marty Northrop. Congratulations, Gloria and Marty.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll send me your email. I'm going to email you. I'm going to email you right now and then just ask for whatever address you'd like me to send it to. And that's easy peasy. But don't go before you send me your address. I got Gloria's confirming that.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Ben, for coming and sharing all of your wisdom with us. Lots of appreciations shared in the chat. I know everyone's walking away with at least 1 or 2 new ideas that they can use right away. That bonus don't require a lot of prep. So that is huge. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and get started with our closing. So give me just a moment to share my screen. And I'll turn it over to Anu.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, Ben. That was amazing. We loved every minute of it. And let's move on to our closing thoughts. As you all know, we always like to end on a positive note. If you could share some highlights of today's session, some good ideas that you heard and are thinking of applying, or just want to say thank you, we would love to hear from you. So I'll give you maybe like 2-3 minutes. I think we have the luxury of a little bit of time. So give you a couple minutes to please share your thoughts and let us know how it went today, and we can celebrate some of the highlights. Maybe a minute more. All right. Okay, so as you're still writing, maybe we can move on to the next one. Yes, our next playground is on May 13th. And guess what? We are featuring you. It's your turn to play with the tools and for us to learn. And remember that it has to be a tool that has not been covered in the cohort workshops. And you will get 5 to 7 minutes to demonstrate and showcase your tool, EdTech tool. So we're excited and looking forward. And I'm sure if you are here, you would really see its implementation and actual implementation in the classroom. And it would be an amazing, another EdTech playground. So we are excited for May 13th. It's also during Teacher Appreciation Week. So we are excited to link this together and appreciate you who are in the classroom. Okay, follow us on Facebook. Please post on our page. We would love to hear from you and hear any shout outs that you have for us. So please do share on Facebook. And moving on, please, those who are part of the Playground Pros cohort group, please stay in for the sign out link, which we will be putting it in the chat. And just before you go, we want to give you a heads up. The whole TIN Playground team, we will be presenting at the Q at Palm Spring on March 22nd, 11 to 12 p.m. So please be there if you want to, meet us in person or attend our workshop. It is called A Taste of Tin, and it's just a compilation of all the EdTech tools that we have been playing with, and just a showcase of all the work that we have been doing. So excited if you are coming to Q, we would love to also meet you and touch base with you in person. So looking forward to seeing you there. And those who are in Playground Pros, please stay back for the sign out link. And those who are done, I think we're finished early today. We have a few minutes. If you want to stick on, have any questions or anything for us, we are here. Thank you so much for coming today. And thank you all. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks so much for having me. And everybody, you have a great day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and share your journey.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.